You ever notice how everybody's chasing something called success, but nobody can tell you what the hell it actually is? Ask 10 people. You'll get 12 answers. Success is happiness. Success is money. Oh, success is being your best self. It's like a religion with no scripture. Everybody's worshiping it, but nobody's sure what the rules are. They just know they're not there yet. That's a trick. You're never there. You're always on your way. Because if you ever arrived, the system would collapse. The game only works if everyone keeps playing. We were sold this idea that there's a finish line, a big glowing, you made it, sign at the end of the road, and the second you reach it, all your pain disappears. Spoiler, it doesn't exist. It's not a destination. It's a moving target designed to keep you grinding, spending, and comparing. You're born into a world that tells you you're not enough and then sells you everything you need to fix that. It's genius. First they break you, then they sell you the glue. They tell you, work hard, stay focused, and you'll make it. Make what? A bigger tax bracket? A sheenier prison? The dream? Whose dream? Because it sure as hell isn't yours. It's the one they gave you in commercials between cartoon shows. Success isn't even about achievement anymore. It's about optics. You don't have to be successful. You just have to look successful. That's why people are drowning in debt to look rich for people who don't care. Success today is a costume. You don't wear it because it fits. You wear it because it's expected. Look around. Everyone's posting highlight reels of their journey. They call it hustling, grinding, rising, and shining. But it's not life, it's performance art. Everybody's on stage pretending to be fulfilled, hoping someone claps. And if nobody claps, they clap for themselves in the mirror. Self-love, they call it. It's all noise. We've replaced purpose with branding, depth with hashtags. You can't even fail privately anymore. The internet has to witness your breakdown and call it a comeback. You ever notice how the same society that tells you money isn't everything also measures your worth by your paycheck? That's the real joke. They tell you to follow your passion, as long as your passion pays rent. They preach balance but glorify burnout. They hand you trophies for surviving a system that's designed to exhaust you. They tell you to chase your dreams, then punish you if those dreams don't involve contributing to the GDP. Success used to mean having enough. Now it means never being satisfied. You get one thing, and immediately you're told to want the next. You buy a house, great, now get a bigger one. You get a car, nice, now trade up. You hit a goal, congrats, now double it. There's no done in this game. It's a treadmill powered by insecurity, and the faster you run, the more you lose yourself. Nobody asks, what's enough? Because enough doesn't sell products. More does. The culture even romanticizes struggle. They tell you to trust the grind, embrace the hustle, like misery's a sign of virtue. If you're tired, broke, and overworked, congratulations, you're doing it right. That's how warped it's gotten. People are bragging about exhaustion. I only slept 4 hours last night. Great, you're halfway to a heart attack. But at least you've got a motivational quote about it. The modern hero isn't the wise one. It's the busy one. You can't stop, you can't breathe, because stopping means you're lazy. And lazy is the new sin. In this world, rest is rebellion. You can't even sit down without feeling like you're losing a race. The race to where nobody knows. Everyone's running, sweating, posting, competing for what? To die with the most toys. The same people who say you can't take it with you, spend a lot of time trying to. It's a beautiful scam when you think about it. They built a system where people willingly work themselves to death to maintain an illusion. And they call it ambition. Look at him. He's a go-getter. Yeah, he's getting an ulcer. She's a boss babe. No, she's a caffeine-dependent anxiety case in high heels. Nobody's living. They're auditioning. And the casting director's society sitting there saying, smile wider, work harder, want more. You can't escape it because it's baked into everything. Your job, your education, your identity. From the moment you're born, they start training you to chase validation. Grades, gold stars, trophies, promotions, little breadcrumbs leading to the idea that your worth depends on performance. And by the time you realize it's all nonsense, you're too deep in to stop. You've got bills, responsibilities, expectations. You can't quit the game when your entire life's a scoreboard. And they love that. They love that you define yourself by it. Because people who are busy proving their worth don't question the system. You won't challenge the structure if you're too busy climbing it. You'll destroy your health, your relationships, your peace of mind, and call it success. You'll celebrate the same machine that's grinding you down, and they'll hand you an award for it. Employee of the month. Congratulations. You traded your soul for a parking spot. Even the language we use gives it away. We don't anymore. We build your brand, build your portfolio, build your empire. It's never enough to exist. You have to market yourself, your product now. You don't have to be happy, just appear valuable. Personal growth has become a PR campaign. People are taking self-help courses to learn how to fake fulfillment convincingly. And the funny part, the people who are truly successful by societal standards, the rich, the powerful, the influencers, they're miserable too. You see it all the time. They get everything they ever wanted, and suddenly they're talking about finding meaning. Meaning. You spent 20 years chasing money, now you want meaning. That's like climbing Mount Everest to realize you hate heights. But that's the trap. Success doesn't satisfy because it was never designed to. It's a moving illusion, always shifting just out of reach. We're told success is freedom, but real success is rare because real freedom terrifies people. Freedom means not caring what others think. But society doesn't want that. It wants compliant dreamers, just ambitious enough to keep working, just insecure enough to keep buying. The perfect citizen isn't free. He's motivated. Motivated to consume, to compete, to conform. Follow your dreams. Sounds noble until you realize they handed you those dreams in the first place. You ever think about how success stories are written by survivors of the same system that crushed everyone else? They put one person on a pedestal, the exception, and say, see, you can make it too. It's propaganda. They parade a billionaire around and say it's proof of opportunity. That's like pointing to a lottery winner and saying poverty's a choice. The myth of success keeps everyone else quiet. You're not supposed to notice the odds. You're supposed to admire the winner. And the winners, they love the myth. They'll tell you to believe in yourself, but what they mean is believe in the system that made me rich. They'll sell you motivation, courses, books, seminars, a whole industry built on making you chase what they already have. The self-improvement business is just capitalism in a hoodie. Unlock your potential. No, they're unlocking your wallet. They don't want you fulfilled. They want you hooked because fulfilled people don't buy things. Success, as we've been sold, is a lie dressed up in luxury. It's the idea that peace and worth can be purchased. But the real joke is that peace was free the whole time. You don't have to earn it. You just have to stop giving it away. But that doesn't fit into a marketing strategy, does it? You can't sell enough. Nobody gets rich telling people to stop wanting. And it's sad because people think the opposite of success is failure. But it's not. The opposite of success is contentment. The system can handle failures. It needs failures to prove the game's real. But content people, they're dangerous. They don't buy. They don't compete. They don't play. That's why every message in society, from ads to politics to religion, is designed to keep you unsatisfied. Because the moment you're content, the whole economy collapses. That's why you're never allowed to rest. There's always something to fix, something to achieve, something to prove. Even self-care has become a performance. Treat yourself. They say, as long as it involves spending money, meditation apps, luxury retreats, affirmation journals, you can't even relax without capitalism sneaking in. They've turned peace into a product. And somehow we thank them for it. You can see it everywhere. You kids being told they're falling behind at 12, adults having midlife crisis at 30, old people terrified of being irrelevant. Because the clock never stops, society turned life into a scoreboard, and the only rule is never be satisfied. It's a hamster wheel powered by anxiety, and we call it ambition. The great tragedy is that nobody wins. You can't win a race with no finish line. You can't arrive at a destination that doesn't exist. You can only exhaust yourself trying. And when you finally realize it, when you finally stop running, they'll call you a failure. They'll say you gave up, but maybe giving up on the lie is the only real success left. You ever notice how nobody can just live their own life anymore without checking how it measures up to somebody else's? It's like we all signed up for this invisible competition we never agreed to play in. You can't even enjoy a sandwich without comparing it to someone else's sandwich on social media. The world has turned into one giant scoreboard, and everyone's obsessed with where they stand. It's not enough to be happy. You have to be happier than the next guy. It's not enough to succeed. Someone else has to fail for it to count. That's the new game. Success isn't personal anymore. It's performative. It's not about living well. It's about looking like you're living better than everyone else. We used to call it envy. Now they call it motivation. Don't get jealous, get inspired. That's the cute, marketable version of insecurity. But let's be honest, it's still jealousy just with better lighting. Everyone's scrolling through a highlight reel of other people's lives, feeling like garbage because their own story doesn't have filters and theme music. And the irony is nobody's real anymore. You're comparing your behind the scenes to somebody else's edited movie trailer. And then you wonder why you feel like you're losing. The culture feeds on that. The whole machine runs on comparison. Because if you ever stopped comparing yourself, you'd stop consuming. That's the nightmare scenario for the system. People who are okay with what they already have, you can't sell enough, you can only sell better. So they keep inventing new levels, new luxuries, new standards, things you didn't even know you needed until somebody richer bought one. You ever think about how they tricked us into believing happiness is a leaderboard? Like, you can't just be content. You need metrics. You need followers, likes, engagement, net worth. They turn peace of mind into a competition. And the worst part, nobody's even keeping score but you. Nobody's paying attention to your wins and losses. Everyone's too busy worrying about their own image to care about yours. But we still play, because being invisible terrifies people more than being miserable. That's what the cult of comparison really is. Fear. Fear of being unseen, unnoticed, unimportant. So people create these digital versions of themselves, polished and shiny, to prove they exist. And once you start doing that, you're trapped. You can't stop pretending, because you've built a whole identity on approval. You start living in this weird mirror world where your self-worth depends on strangers clicking a heart on your photo. And that little dopamine hit feels good for 5 seconds. Then you need another one, then another. It's not connection, it's addiction. We used to look up to people who did great things. Now we look up to people who look like they're doing great things. The line between reality and representation disappeared. We used to admire effort, skill, talent. Now we admire optics. We're not inspired by greatness anymore. We're seduced by the illusion of greatness. You can literally rent a private jet for an hour just to take pictures inside it. Imagine that fake wealth as a business model, and people buy it because success isn't about truth, it's about perception. And the system's smart. It figured out how to monetize your insecurities. They don't need to convince you that you're happy. They just need to convince you that you could be happier. If only you had what they're selling. They've built an entire economy around dissatisfaction, and comparison is their favorite weapon. They'll show you what other people have until you feel like a failure, then offer you the cure for a price. It's emotional blackmail disguised as advertising. Think about how insane it is. We're surrounded by more comfort, more access, more opportunity than any generation before. And yet everyone feels inadequate. Why? Because we've been conditioned to believe enough is failure. You can't just have a good life. It has to be better than theirs. You can't just enjoy your vacation. It has to be Instagrammable. You can't just love your job. It has to make other people jealous. Every experience is graded on its ability to impress. We've industrialized envy. And this doesn't just mess with individuals, it's reshaping society. People aren't choosing paths that make them fulfilled, they're choosing paths that make them look successful. You see people studying things they hate, working jobs that drain them, buying things they don't need, all to maintain an image of progress. We've replaced meaning with metrics. You're not measured by who you are, but by how efficiently you can project success. And what's the result? A generation that's exhausted, anxious, constantly performing. Nobody knows who they really are anymore because they've spent their whole lives curating versions of themselves for others. You meet someone and you don't meet them. You meet their brand. And even they don't know the difference. It's all theater. We're all actors playing roles in a story. Nobody's watching, hoping the applause comes eventually. But here's the dark part. The comparison game never ends. You get what you wanted, you feel good for a second, and then the goalposts move. Someone else has more, and suddenly you're back at zero. It's a treadmill of discontent. You can't win because the rules keep changing. That's how they keep you running. And people call that ambition. No, that's insecurity with a productivity app. And this inspiration culture. Don't even get me started. You see those rise and grind. Post people worshiping billionaires like they're prophets. He wakes up at 4 a.m., takes cold showers. Journals about gratitude. Yeah, and he also exploits workers in 5 countries. But sure, let's copy the shower part. It's ridiculous. We've turned success into a moral virtue. As if being rich automatically makes you wise. You can scam millions out of people and still get invited to speak about leadership at conferences. Because in this world, success forgives everything. If you have money, they call it strategy. If you're broke, they call it irresponsibility. And it's not just money. Even morality's become competitive. People virtue signal like it's a sport. You can't just care about something, you have to prove it online. You can't just do good quietly, you have to broadcast it. Look at me, I'm a good person. Congratulations, you turn empathy into marketing. We're not improving the world, we're auditioning for moral superiority. The saddest part is we've confused visibility with value. We think if people see us, we matter. But being seen isn't the same as being known. You can have millions of followers and still feel invisible because none of them know who you actually are. They know your performance, not your person. And the more successful your performance becomes, the further you drift from yourself. That's why so many so-called successful people end up miserable. They spent their lives chasing validation from people they don't even respect. We live in a world where everyone's trying to stand out, but the result is that everyone looks the same. Same poses, same captions, same slogans. It's conformity disguised as individuality. Everyone's unique in exactly the same way. It's hysterical. You scroll through hundreds of people shouting, "Be yourself!" while all wearing the same damn expression and chasing the same dream. That's not authenticity, that's marketing strategy. And let's talk about how this comparison culture kills real connection. You can't genuinely celebrate someone else's success when you see it as a threat to your own. You can't be happy for your friends because somewhere deep down, their wins make you feel smaller. So you fake enthusiasm and you secretly resent them. That's what happens when your self-worth depends on being head. There's no community, no compassion, just quiet competition in disguise. You ever wonder why people say they feel lonelier than ever, even though they're constantly connected? It's because everyone's too busy performing to be present. You're not talking to people. You're networking. You're not sharing moments. You're creating content. Friendships become transactional. Every interaction is a potential post. And when you strip life of authenticity, all that's left is noise. Even failures become performative now. You can't just mess up quietly. You have to turn it into a motivational story. I lost everything, but it made me stronger. No, maybe it just sucked, and that's okay. But no, you've got to monetize the misery. Every hardship becomes a brand opportunity. Pain is the new PR, and people applaud it, not because they care, but because it makes them feel better about their own mess. See, at least I'm not that bad off. It's all comparison all the way down. And here's the punchline. Even when you realize the whole system's rigged, you can't just walk away. Because comparison isn't just cultural, it's psychological. It's in us. The trick is learning to notice when it's happening, to see the absurdity of it, and to laugh, to realize that the world's scoreboard is meaningless, that the people you're competing with are just as confused, scared, and lost as you are. Once you see that, the game loses its grip. But nobody tells you that. They tell you to be better. Do more, keep up. The only real rebellion left is to stop competing, to look at the madness and say, no thanks, I'll sit this one out. But that terrifies people, because if you stop comparing, you might actually have to face yourself. And most people don't want that. It's easier to keep scrolling, keep hustling, keep pretending you're climbing, even if you're just circling the drain. The world worships winners, but nobody defines what winning means. They just tell you it's whatever you don't have yet. The car, the house, the lifestyle, the body, the recognition. It's always something else. They keep you hungry, and you keep feeding the machine that's starving you. That's the genius of it. You're trapped, but you think you're choosing. The only way out is to stop measuring, to wake up one day and realize there is no race, that the finish line doesn't exist, that you're not behind, you're just alive. That maybe the whole idea of success is a scam designed to keep you distracted while someone else cashes in. And maybe, just maybe, the most radical thing you can do in a world obsessed with comparison is to stop playing entirely. Because when you stop comparing, something strange happens. You actually start living. You start noticing the small stuff again, the things that don't look impressive online but feel real in here. You laugh more. You breathe easier. You stop checking the mirror every 5 seconds for validation. You stop performing and start being. And that's the one thing the system can't monetize, authentic peace. They'll never tell you that's the real success story. Because if you ever figured that out, they'd lose control. So they'll keep feeding you the illusion. Keep telling you that happiness is just one more purchase, one more follower, one more level away. And you'll keep running, chasing ghosts, until you decide to step off the treadmill and watch everyone else keep sprinting in circles. That's when you'll finally understand what real success looks like. It's not louder or richer or sheenier. It's quiet. It's simple. It's yours. And that's the joke of the century. The only way to win the game is to stop playing it. You ever stop and ask yourself who wrote the rules for what counts as success? Because it sure wasn't you. Somewhere along the way, somebody else decided what a good life looks like, printed on billboards, packaged it in commercials, and told you to spend the rest of your days chasing it. They said, get the degree, get the job, get the house, get the spouse, get the stuff. It's like a grocery list for the soul. And the whole time you're checking boxes trying to keep up, they're already writing new ones. You never get to the end because the end doesn't exist. They don't want it to. The finish line has wheels. Every time you get close, it rolls a little farther away. We were born into a world that confuses activity with achievement. You're told to stay busy, keep grinding, keep hustling like motion automatically means meaning. People brag about how little they sleep like that's something to be proud of. I only got 3 hours last night. Congratulations, you're one step closer to a nervous breakdown. We glorify exhaustion because it looks like ambition. The more miserable you are, the more successful you must be. It's madness. You're not living, you're auditioning for a part in a play that never ends. And what's the play about? Approval. That's the currency now. Likes, views, followers, applause. It's all the same addiction wearing different outfits. You think you're working toward freedom, but the more you chase it, the more trapped you get. Because real success isn't about addition, it's about subtraction. It's about taking away everything that was never you in the first place. But nobody tells you that. They tell you to build, not to strip away. They tell you to climb, not to step off. They tell you to want more, not less. Because if you ever stopped wanting, the machine would fall apart. The world needs your hunger to keep spinning. You notice how success stories always sound the same. Same tone, same moral. I started with nothing. I worked hard. I never gave up. And now look at me. They love that story. It sells perfectly because it keeps the fantasy alive. What they never mention are the million other people who worked just as hard, did everything right, and still got nowhere. You can't sell that story. It doesn't make good television. It doesn't make good advertising. Reality doesn't move product, so they hide it and sell you hope instead. Success is the world's most addictive drug because it's legal, it's everywhere, and nobody ever admits when they're overdosing. You can see it in people's eyes. That tired sparkle that says, I made it, but also I can't stop. Because once you've tied your identity to winning, you can't afford to lose. You can't even slow down. You've got to keep feeding the image. Keep protecting the brand of you. And every victory costs a little more of your peace. They call that the price of greatness. I call it a bad trade. You sold your calm for a trophy that doesn't even fill the space you lost. The real joke is that the definition of success keeps shrinking. It used to be about contribution, legacy, community. Now it's about visibility and personal brand. It used to be about doing something worth remembering. Now it's about being remembered for something. Anything, even if it's nonsense. People aren't living meaningful lives. They're chasing memorable moments. They don't want depth. They want impressions. It's the shallow end of the pool. And everyone's splashing around thinking they're swimming. But you can't really live until you stop performing. You can't be free if you're still trying to impress the audience. You don't owe anyone a performance. The trick is to walk off stage before the curtain falls. You don't have to play the role they wrote for you. You can write your own. You can decide that success isn't applause. It's silence. It's the space where you can hear yourself again. You ever see people finally retire after chasing success their whole life? They get the house, the money, the title, and then they just sit there, bored, restless, staring into space like someone forgot to tell them what comes next. Because the world trained them to climb, not to stop. Nobody teaches you how to arrive. Nobody tells you what to do when there's nowhere else to go. And that's when it hits them. They spent 40 years preparing to live and forgot to actually do it. The truth is, success is a mirage. It looks real from a distance, but the closer you get, the more it fades. You start to realize the chase was the whole trick. You were never supposed to reach it. You were supposed to keep running. The treadmill isn't broken. It was designed that way. You're not failing. You're functioning exactly as intended. Once you see that, you can finally step off. That's freedom, not quitting, just waking up. Freedom doesn't look impressive. It's quiet, ordinary, often invisible. It's not in the car or the clothes or the accolades. It's in waking up without dread. It's in laughing at how ridiculous it all is. It's in saying no when everyone expects you to say yes. It's in choosing rest over rush, truth over trend, peace over praise. That's the kind of success you can't post online because it doesn't need an audience. It's self-contained, and the people who really have it don't need to tell you about it. But society doesn't reward that. The system can't measure peace, so it ignores it. You can't monetize contentment, so they pretend it's laziness. You stop chasing, and suddenly you're unmotivated. You stop caring about status, and they say you gave up. No, you just stopped playing their game. And nothing terrifies them more than someone who stops playing, because the game only works if everyone participates. They'll call you a loser for not competing, but what are they winning exactly? Stress, debt, ulcers. They're so busy building their empire, they forget empires always crumble, every single one. And when it does, they'll be standing in the ruins wondering why nobody told them the point wasn't to build forever. It was to live while it lasted. That's the secret no one wants to hear. Real success isn't a destination. It's a decision. It's deciding to stop running in circles for someone else's approval. It's deciding that your worth isn't up for public vote. It's deciding that joy isn't earned through exhaustion. You don't have to prove your value by suffering. You're allowed to just exist and enjoy it. But that doesn't sell. Peace doesn't have a brand campaign. So they'll keep showing you winners holding trophies, standing on podiums, giving speeches about perseverance. They'll never show you the quiet person sitting under a tree, drinking coffee, watching the sunrise, because that person doesn't generate revenue. But guess who's actually happy? The one who doesn't need a trophy to justify being alive. You ever notice how we admire simplicity when we see it but refuse to practice it? Someone quits the rat race and moves to a cabin, and people say, wow, that's brave. Brave. That's not bravery, that's clarity. The bravery is in staying here and pretending this circus makes sense. We've built a world that rewards noise and punishes stillness. You meditate for 10 minutes, and people think you're lazy. You check emails at midnight, and they call you dedicated. It's backwards. It's funny. They tell you to dream big, but they never tell you that maybe your dream doesn't have to be grand. Maybe it's just peace or love or time. Maybe the biggest dream of all is not wanting anything you don't already have. That's the punchline no one sees. Coming success isn't about getting everything. It's about realizing you already did. And that's why redefining success feels like rebellion. Because once you stop chasing, you stop being controllable. You can't be manipulated by fear or envy anymore. The ads don't work. The comparisons stop mattering, you become useless to the machine. And that's when you start to actually live. You start to see beauty in things that don't cost money, in moments that don't need witnesses. The world slows down, and suddenly you do too. The great trick they pulled was convincing us that freedom was something we had to earn. You don't earn freedom, you reclaim it. You take it back from the nonsense. You look around and say, you know what, I don't need your scoreboard. That's when success becomes personal again. That's when it becomes real. Because the only real success is peace. Not the kind that depends on winning, but the kind that doesn't care if you win at all. It's the calm after the noise, the silence after the applause. It's knowing you could lose everything society calls valuable and still feel whole. That's success they can't sell you, can't measure, can't steal. It's success you own outright. No payments, no promotions, no permission. And maybe that's the ultimate irony. We spent our lives chasing something we already had, the ability to be content, to be present, to be free. It was never out there. It was always in here. All you had to do was stop running long enough to notice. So when they ask what success means, maybe the real answer is simple. It's not more. It's enough. That's it. That's the whole thing.